If there is one book that changed my life, it's Reality Transurfing. And I find myself coming back to this material again and again. There is so much wisdom there. In the book Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland, there is this concept of pendulums. Pendulums are thought forms. A pendulum is any collective thought structure or energetic field created by many people focusing on the same thing. When a group of people focus their attention on the same thing, it creates a momentum of energy towards that thing. Pendulums are a concept that might be hard to grasp in the beginning, but the more we talk about it, the easier it will get. It is called a pendulum because the more people focus their attention and energy towards something, the more powerfully that thing, or aka pendulum, swings. It doesn't really matter if it's positive or negative energy that people send towards that thing. It swings either way. Where attention goes, energy flows. And we cannot see pendulums physically in real life. This is all happening on an energetic, metaphysical level. It is all happening on the unseen. And not all pendulums are destructive, but many are. Guilt, duty, and obligation are common ways that destructive pendulums use to manipulate people. Guilt is one of the most extensive channels that a pendulum can pump your energy. If you feel guilty, you must do what I say. And I will make another video in the future explaining why religion can be so dangerous with their manipulative use of guilt, and that some people might actually be worshipping something else, something that's not quite God. But that will be for another video. A pendulum wants to attract as many followers as possible, to attract as much energy as possible. A pendulum always makes a distinction between its adherents, aka their followers, and another group. We are good, they are bad. Sounds familiar? We see pendulums everywhere. Sport rivalries, political parties, religions, the war, that friend group drama. These are all pendulums, and destructive pendulums create more and more separation and conflict. Destructive pendulums want to keep your mind busy and pull you to their frequency. And as I mentioned before, and an important thing to know is that a pendulum does not only gain energy by its adherents or followers, but it also gains energy from its opponents. This is why when we complain or focus on something we hate, we are actually giving more momentum to that thing we hate, feeding it. For example, Trump is a pendulum. Not Trump as an individual per se, but Trump as a pendulum, gaining a lot of momentum from his followers, the people that actually like him, but also in the same way, it gains a lot of momentum through his opponents. When we focus on how much we dislike him, we are giving momentum to the pendulum of Trump. People that are constantly complaining about him, focusing and talking about his last nonsense tweet. All this focus only makes a destructive pendulum grows. It sounds counterintuitive to ignore these heavy topics, but it's not. We might feel like we are turning our backs to the injustice. But there are other ways we can help humanity. Even meditating instead, regulating our nervous system, is a much better way to contribute to helping humanity. Let me put it in a different way. Meditating and regulating your nervous system is actually one of the best ways we can start healing the world. But anyway, the less attention people give to a pendulum, the less that destructive pendulum can swing. If a person is focusing on something, good or bad, that person is giving their energy away to that pendulum, to that thing they are focusing on. This is why we need to be mindful and pay attention not to give our energy away to something negative. And with this, I don't mean toxic positivity. That's not at all what I'm saying. I am talking about being conscious of not consuming negative information through the news, social media. Especially if we are adding strong emotions to those negative thoughts, with emotions of fear, anxiety, and despair. Feelings are common strings that pendulums use to control its puppets. Feelings and interest allow a person's thoughts to be directed in a certain way. If a theme doesn't evoke interest or emotion to you, it is hard to focus on that thing. Once you understand that the media, the news, journalism want to attract attention no matter what, to engage people in any way possible and occupy their minds. What is prevalent in the news is bad news, evoking strong emotions of fear, hatred, anger, resentment. The pendulum's favorite way to get access to your energy is by throwing you off balance. Once you have lost your sense of your own equilibrium, you wobble to the frequency of the pendulum. And the strongest pull that a pendulum can pull you in is by fear. This is all said in the book Reality Transurfing, by the way. Fear, the most ancient and one of the most powerful of all human emotions. A great tool that destructive pendulums use. Anxiety and worry are weaker emotions but also very effective puppet strings. So be aware not to be giving away your attention to destructive pendulums. Where attention goes, energy flows. Or at least be aware of your emotional regulation. If for some reason you are exposed to these negative themes, everything in this reality is competing for your attention. And the pendulum seeks more and more attention, more and more energy. COVID, for example, was a huge pendulum worldwide. Did you notice how it started so little and with the news and the media it became so huge? At one point it became the topic of everyone's conversation. All fear spreading out. And the way a pendulum works is that the adherent is trapped in a feedback loop to the pendulum's frequency. The adherent radiates energy to the resonance frequency of the pendulum, which in turn feeds a little energy back to the devotee so that it can maintain the influence over them. This is why it's crucial to stay grounded within yourself and to be aware of what you are consuming. What thoughts are you entertaining and what are you giving your attention to? Focus your attention on the things you do want to attract in your reality. Don't focus your attention on the things you do not want to attract in your reality. Reality Transurfing also explains that not all your negative energy is harvested by the pendulum. Some of it goes to what it's called the alternative space, and this creates back more of what you do not want. So be mindful not to be pulled for a cause that is beyond ourselves. Forgetting who we are because we're identifying ourselves with these destructive pendulums. People being of service or working for a cause that do not even benefit them or other humans. So many people give out unconsciously their attention and their energy to these destructive pendulums. And as I said before, the more people give out their attention and their energy to these pendulums, the more they grow. And on an energetic level, these are invisible forces that grow and that get people hooked. And the more significant a pendulum is, the harder it is to break free from it. The best way to free yourself from a pendulum is to ignore it, to be detached. And ignoring it doesn't mean avoiding it. Ignoring it is acknowledging its existence but letting it pass you by indifferently. I will also make another video about how to free yourself from a pendulum, but that will be later. In order to break free from a pendulum, you have to establish your own game and go your own way. A pendulum is conformity, structure, so when you walk away from it and you go outside of it, you may encounter resistance from that pendulum. Especially if it's a significant destructive pendulum. And then you create your own pendulum. Basically, we all have a pendulum, but you focus on you, even if you stand out as something separate from that pendulum. But now the big difference is that we are not the copycats anymore. We are the initiators, the leaders that begin to create their own structure. With this information, we can now see the pendulums of the world and see it for what they are. And instead of being manipulated by them subconsciously, we can flip the script and decide what we are going to pay our attention to. No longer being manipulated by these energetic structures. Think of political parties, movements, corporations. We don't see these pendulums, these forces in our physical reality because it is all happening in the unseen world. In order to get your power back, become aware of these energetic structures. And instead of giving your focus to them, you start giving your focus to yourself and to your dreams. You play your own game. This way you liberate yourself. You are not siphoned anymore into a movement, into someone else's reality. Stay free, even of those who preach to you of freedom. And have discernment. You don't want to free yourself from a pendulum just to fall back into a different one. Pendulums don't necessarily have to represent something detrimental as long as the person is self-aware. It is never possible to be completely free of pendulums. But the question is, How can you stop being oppressed by a pendulum's influence so that you can consciously work them in favor of your own purpose? There are pendulums that could be of use for you, and these are your personal pendulums. Seek pendulums that empower you, that you can work with to get inspired lifelines. For example, to me, these are music artists that sing of freedom, that inspire me. Those that I like the intention behind the music. Because at the end of the day, it is pendulums that turn dreams into reality. Be smart about it. Use them advantageously. And we are at a crucial time now. Do not give your energy to the noise, to the nonsense. Find what's true. And if something feels important, getting you dysregulated, start by questioning it. Because you might be pulled by a pendulum that is lowering your vibration, that it's pulling you to its lower frequency. Be very discerning of it. Not everything is what it looks like. Do not give your attention to the noise. You might end up feeding something you do not want to feed. And the best way to protect yourself from a pendulum is by being empty. If you never heard this term before, it's very common for meditation. Be mindful and discerning with what you're consuming. So with all this said, we can either drown ourselves in fear or we can take our power back and change our reality. So which one are you going to choose? I hope this video was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if it resonated with you. Consider to like and subscribe for more. Would love to have you around, and keep it up. Peace.